Once we get the idea, then we got to put it into the plan. And the honors impact planning form is a really simple document that is still sometimes just completely maddening, because people are kind of like, I'm not sure how to fill this out, and that's totally reasonable. I get that. It's basically broken down into 3 pieces of information that I need. And if it's one of those things that, you know, I'm glad to assist with. In the past, what I've done is, if somebody's just totally lost on how to fill it out, then what we do is we just meet, and we can do this through Zoom. We'll just pull up the document, we'll just talk it out, and I'll type it up, and that's no big deal. We can do that. Let's not let that be the reason that we don't do something, for sure. But in part 1, pretty simple. These are our honors program outcomes, and for anybody that's been with the program for a while, you might think, weren't there more of them? And there were. Yes, there used to be. I've consolidated it down a little bit to make it a little bit easier on everybody involved, especially me. Because it's one of those things where whenever you say that these are one of the outcomes, you have to prove to people that we're doing these things, and we are, but it also means that I have to create a lot of extra reports and things like that. So if I only have to create 4 reports instead of 6 reports, that's why we're doing that. So anyway, I've kind of consolidated things. You'll notice all the same stuff for anybody that's been with the program for a couple of years now. All of it's still in there. Diversity and commonality of human values, high-level work of research, reasoning, communication skills, leadership, synthesis of knowledge across different contexts, you know, making arguments, impact, how things impact society across time and space. All of that's the exact same, just wording it differently. Long story short, with the impact, you just kind of have to check against your what you're thinking for your project. You just have to be able to check off at least 2 of them. Most everybody is able to check off this one right here, because you've got something that requires extra research, extra, you know, critical thinking or reasoning, extra communication skills, writing or speaking. And as long as you can say that you're doing that, we check that one off. A lot of times this one comes pretty easily too, because what you have to do in some of these projects is serve as a leader of a team, or just the leader of a day of work, you know, because you're giving a presentation or something like that. That's leadership in an academic context. So it's usually pretty easy to check these off. And a lot of times I'm able to kind of make the case that we can check off even 3 or 4 of them. But so that's all that is. You just literally just kind of go through and say, yep, it does at least 2 of these things. And then in this one, the second part is to give a brief description of it. My screen grab's not very good here. Sorry about that. But all you have to do for this one is just explain the project and how it kind of meets some of the outcomes, how it, you know, what you'll be doing. You do not have to give as much information as this student did here. This is just one of those ones where someone was a real overachiever and they wanted to really write this all out. And in this case, she did it with the help of her of the professor that was helping her out with this. This was a real hands-on professor, great professor, did a great job, but yours might not be this long. That's okay. Usually it's only like a couple of sentences. It's like a little mini paragraph. But this is one where they just kind of explained all the different steps that would be taken in kind of paragraph format. The last part is just to explain it. And Elizabeth, is this yours from last year, I think, actually, yeah. This was a really good one because it's all broken out, right? Sometimes people just want to say, oh, well, you know, so-and-so is going to write an essay. And I'm like, well, wait a second. We might have to do a couple of steps that lead up to an essay, right? And, you know, what you want to do, I don't require this part anymore because nobody ever really understood what I was asking for here. So I just clip that right out. But what I just really want to know is what kind of activities are you planning on doing towards this? And yes, the final project should be on there. That's usually in the last box. But then, you know, kind of the stuff that leads up to it is really good to include as well. So if it's going to be an essay, are you going to do additional research? Well, that additional research should be in there too. Or if it's going to be leading a class discussion, well, are you going to meet with the professor to kind of go over how that discussion should go? That should be mentioned in there. You know, just kind of think it all out. And this is a case where you just kind of have to flesh it out and make yourself look as impressive as possible, because you'll be doing all these things, right? Even if it's all just leading towards one, you know, final project. And these due dates are always tentative, but it is useful to kind of know roughly when you think you'll be doing this stuff. So if it's by the end of week 7 or 8, great. And then you'll do the final project like in week 14, awesome. But obviously it's all subject to change. Does that make sense? Just going through that, is that helpful? Okay, good. Because that's really the last thing that I wanted to share with you guys. And like I said, I've kept you a couple minutes late. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you putting up with my discombobulated here today. What now? Okay, so on your own, you've got a couple of different steps that you can take, but certainly involve me as much as you need, as much as will be helpful to make this as comfortable and easy a process for you as possible. So reach out to the faculty member, and I don't know what that last line was going to be. Give them a heads up. No, give them maybe give them the idea, right? Give them the proposal, I think is what I was going to say. Request that. But so anyway, it is best if it comes from you first, because it's something where they'll feel like they're helping out a student, and a lot of professors really appreciate that. But I can help as needed. I've got a couple this semester where somebody's reached out and they just haven't gotten back to them yet, or they might need more information, and that's fine. And that's where me, as the director of the program, I can kind of follow up and say, hey, so and so is an honors program student, and they're doing a great job with everything, and they just want to do this project, and then I can kind of lay out for them exactly what they need to do. Of course, you're welcome to send the document, and I can resend it if need be. This is something I believe I sent out last week. When I was scheduling this whole thing, but you can send out the timeline and responsibilities document. The timeline is just a little bit off this semester because we're already in week 3, but everything else is pretty much set, and it tells them exactly what kind of your responsibilities are as the student, what my responsibilities are as the director of the program, and then what their responsibilities would be as the faculty member. So it's not a bad idea to send that, but you don't have to either. You can just kind of say, you can just give them an overview, and if they have a bunch of questions, then you can refer them to me or let me know, and I can reach out to them. And then, of course, determine the project. That's so critical, and that's something I'm glad to help with. What do you want to get out of the project? What will you do? What will you complete? And then, of course, we just got to get to the stage where we're filling out that planning form, which originally, at the beginning of the semester, I was like, yeah, week 3, of course. But I wasn't really thinking about how crazy the beginning of this semester is, with the 2 weeks of virtual, and then this week kind of in some ways feeling like the first week all over again. So if it's not by Friday, that's more than fine. Just kind of keep me in the loop. That's something I really want to help with. So if it seems like you're running into roadblocks, or if it's been a couple of days and you're like, no, I got nothing, then just shoot me an email and we can find a time to meet, and we'll make sure that this doesn't fall through the cracks. We'll probably, we'll plan to do a couple more of these meetings throughout the semester, but just know that you can email me with any questions, and I'm at your service. So that's all I've got for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and stop the record. See anybody that's watching the recording.